This is the C5X, a car that is a mystery wrapped inside of an enigma. Almost no one outside of Citroen knows what this car is. If you took an SUV, a coupe, and an estate and threw them in a blender, this is the juice you'd end up with. But actually, I'm not mad at it, because in a world where everything looks identical, this is a breath of fresh air.
Okay, some quick facts. It's not quite as tall as a Nissan Qashqai, but is considerably longer, with its design somewhere between a saloon, an estate, and an SUV. Prices start from just under 28k for the entry-level petrol, up to just under 40 grand for this plug-in hybrid. But the unique selling point of the C5X is that Citroen claim it's incredibly comfortable.
I'll be the judge of that, shall I? First of all though, quick history lesson. So Citroen have always been known for their incredible suspension technology. It kind of began back in the day with their hydro-pneumatic suspension, which we saw for the first time properly on the old DS. Now, essentially, this system was so good that it made the car feel a bit like you were on a magic carpet ride. And other manufacturers were so impressed by this that they started buying into the technology. So Rolls-Royce actually licensed hydro-pneumatic suspension from Citroen for some of their cars. Even Mercedes with the S-Class had active body control, which was inspired by Citroen. You might remember their adverts back in the day where somebody was holding up a chicken and moving it up, down, left and right to show how composed its head was. That was inspired by these guys. Now, unfortunately, hydro-pneumatic suspension was a little bit expensive to maintain and implement, so they've done away with it, but they do have something else called Citroen Advanced Comfort Active Suspension. Now, I'm not an expert, but I'm gonna try and break down how the system works. Ordinary suspension has a shock absorber, and at the end of the shock absorber, they have what they call bump stops, these hard pieces of polyurethane or rubber that stop the suspension from crashing up into the car whenever you go into a big speed bump or a pothole. When you hit one of those, the bump stop's what you feel. Now, what they have is a damper with a damper at the end of the damper to damp the damping from the damper. It's a bit like having a pillow in your bed, but the pillow has pillows underneath and above to make the pillow more pillowy. Does it work? Too right it works, but don't take my word for it. I've got my patented Rory Reed test here, a little coffee mug in the cup holder, and I'm just gonna drive along and let you see what it's like as you drive. This is a normal road. There's a few undulations and a couple of potholes here and there, but look at the state of the liquid in that. It's remarkable. In a normal car, that would be flying around everywhere. In fact, let me just throw it into a little bend here. Look at that. That's hanging in there quite nicely. I go around the right-hand corner. Absolutely fine. Jam on the brake. Yeah. Look, that is genuinely impressive. There's another little bonus when it comes to comfort in the C5X as well. So this car uses, in the plug-in hybrid model, as standard, Citroen Advanced Comfort seats, which use a high-density foam at the center of the seat, which is basically the same stuff they use in memory foam mattresses. And then on top of that, they have a thicker 15mm textured foam on the surface of the seat, which means it's a bit like having a mattress topper on top of a mattress. And it does work. These seats, very good.
One of the biggest contributors to that level of comfort is the plug-in hybrid powertrain. This combines a 180 horsepower petrol engine with an 80 kilowatt electric motor and a 12.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, which lets you drive the car in either petrol-only mode to save the battery for a time when you need it, hybrid mode for the best long-term economy, or in electric mode for up to 31 miles.
And when you drive it in this mode, it is genuinely, as the French might say, magnifique. It's quiet, it's comfortable. It's like a French Rolls Royce on the cheap.
Obviously, it doesn't look like a Rolls Royce. It doesn't look like anything else you'd care to name. Or maybe it actually looks like everything. There's a bit of SUV, a bit of estate, and from the back even a bit of coupe. And the details are plentiful. I do like the V-shaped LED DRLs at the front with main beam clusters in the V, the horizontal chrome bars that converge into the Citroen chevron in the middle, and the scalloped sections on the bonnet. At the side it has quite a high ride height, but don't be fooled, it's front-wheel drive only, so if you do go off-road, you might get stuck there. The most interesting element at the side has to be the C-pillar, which is made of glass, allowing for good visibility inside, and the sloping roof, which looks almost like it's floating. The back is understated in comparison, but it does have some split V-lights and a gesture-controlled boot that opens to reveal 545 litres of space in the petrol cars or 485 litres in the hybrids.
Let's talk about the interior now. I think it's really nice. I've already mentioned the amazing seats, but one factor I didn't talk about was how wide they are. It doesn't matter how big you are, how broad-shouldered and muscular, like myself, you happen to be, they have a lot of room in these seats. And actually, every single seat in the car has that really comfortable padding in it, so you can get super comfortable. And when you look closely at the seats, you start to notice some really cool detail. In this particular car, you've got these really cool mini chevrons which kind of mirror the design of the Citroen logo. A really nice touch. Now, as for the setup in front of you, it's all right. You've got a variety of materials on offer here. You've got this kind of semi-squidgy material on the upper dash, really squidgy stuff just above the steering wheel, and some textured, almost faux wood on the lower dash and also on the doors, which is quite nice. As for the screens, you get a choice of two. The standard car has a 10-inch display, but if you spend a bit of cash, you can upgrade to a 12-inch display and take advantage of more screen real estate. Speaking of the screen, it's quite clever. It's simple to use once you wrap your head around it. It's all customizable, so you can choose how the screen appears. So for example, I've got a standard display right now with almost nothing on it. But if I wanted to customize that, what I do is I long press the screen, and that will take me into a customized touchscreen menu, and then I can add widgets to the screen. So right now I can press the plus button and then scroll down. I can add my fans, press another plus button. I can add my temperature. If I wanted to add another widget, I can scroll down and add the application drawer, which is a window for all your shortcuts. Another plus button here, and then I can scroll down and add my energy usage. Now if I press the physical home button and save that, you'll see my home screen is now exactly what I want it to be. Really nice touch. You've actually got a smaller driver display just in front of you, which can also be customized. It's a little bit on the small side, but you do get a nice big color head-up display, so you can see exactly what's going on in front of you in terms of your navigation, your media playback, and your speed in your line of sight. In terms of practicality, you've got a decent sized central storage bin here. You've got a little area for your mobile phone just there, 2 cup holders, your drive mode selector just there, and also some physical control knobs for your heating, climate, and ventilation. Knob gang would be happy with this car. It's also got a really nice steering wheel, not too big, not too small, just the right amount of girth, I'll say. Yeah, I like it in here.
In the back, it's very spacious and indeed very comfortable with the same seat material used in the front. And there's lots of legroom and headroom. The door bins are large, there are 2 USB ports and an armrest with 2 cup holders. On the whole, it's a lovely place to be a passenger.
So, what is the C5X like to drive? Well, normally when you have a really comfortable car, things tend to fall apart when you encounter a corner. But actually, this thing is pretty decent in the bends. It's not a sports car by any stretch of the imagination, but chuck it into a corner and it acquits itself fairly well. It controls its body weight, and the suspension seems to kind of firm up when you need it most to give you a pretty composed ride. The steering, it's not the fastest in the world, but it is very precise. It allows you to place it pretty much exactly where you want the car on the road. The brakes, they're not too bad. Normally, in a plug-in hybrid car, you tend to have a combination of regenerative braking and physical braking when the calipers grip the disc, and the transition between regen and physical braking can feel quite jarring. In this, you do notice when it switches from one to the other, but it's actually not too bad in everyday use. What's it like in terms of acceleration? Well, there is a sport mode. If you whack it into sport and floor it, they say it'll do 0 to 62 in 7.8 seconds, which is kind of acceptable. That's enough grunt to pull off an overtaking maneuver, but like I said, it's not a sports car. It doesn't feel super responsive on the throttle. It's responsive enough, but I'd prefer actually if this was an all-electric car, because what it does in sport mode is it wakes up the ICE, which shatters that peacefulness and that quietness that I love most about the car. Hearing that engine kicking kind of just disturbs the peace, and I don't know if the performance that it gives me warrants that disturbance.
In terms of economy, this will vary massively depending on how you drive this plug-in hybrid. With a fully charged battery over short to medium distances, it could return in excess of 100 to 200 miles per gallon if you're easy on the throttle. But realistically, over longer distances or with a depleted battery, you can expect around 40 miles per gallon. EV range is officially 31 miles, but 25 is more realistic, and charge time is around 2 hours from a 7.4 kilowatt home wall box or 8 hours from a 3-pin socket.
So what is my verdict on the C5X? Well, I said at the beginning that I wasn't sure what to think of this car, that it was a bit of an enigma, but actually, I think I'm wrong, because this car has a very clear identity. It's designed unapologetically for people who prioritize comfort above pretty much everything else, and it succeeds in that mission 100%. If you're looking for a family car that is a bit different visually, but is also comfortable to sit in, easy to drive, and just simple to get on with day to day, the C5X is absolutely worth looking into. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a lot about the car. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you have a question about it, leave it down below and I'll try my best to answer you. If you're interested in buying one of these, head over to the autotrader.co.uk website, link down below, because we have deals on new and used C5Xs. Plus, we arrange home delivery and finance. Go check it out. See you soon.